Tune in to Talking Law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill and the special guest host, Attorney Jerome Payne. Live TV talk on your digital device, on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question, our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome, with
What's up, Daryl?
Man, another day in the neighborhood.
All right, man.
Man, you got to give our sorrows to, we lost one of our big brothers today, man, early this morning. Ricky Wilkins, esteemed lawyer, died, you know, and we need to say, sorry to his family. We wish you guys the best.
He was a heck of a lawyer, man.
He was, man. So, so we got to give our shout outs, man, to at the furthest west that we can go to my son in California.
Yep.
Then we got to swing on back here to the Midwest, back to Little Rock, Arkansas. So shout out to Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout outs to West Memphis, Arkansas. Shout out to Memphis, Shelby County, Tennessee. Shout out to Mississippi, and Mom always shout out to the great state of Missouri.
All right, man.
Love that great state.
That's a mouthful, man.
It is. Hey, look, we've been talking about a lot of different things, and we spent last show on a lot of questions.
Yes.
And today we have 3 questions. One of them has a couple parts to them. So we're going to talk about this, use this. We always talk so long on the questions that, we don't bring any new subjects.
That's right.
So, Jerome, let's start with the questions.
Okay.
So the question said, American Car Center, how can I file a lawsuit? I was in the process of purchasing a car and they went out of business. I lost my money.
Oh, that's interesting, Daryl. First of all, kind of bring the audience up to date a little bit. American Car Center had locations practically all over the country. Because I remember as I was traveling through different places, I could see their signs, because they were calling themselves the King of Credit, because they were actually doing like in-house financing to a point, but most businesses turn around and sell their paper to banks. It depends on what level the lending was at. So American Car Center has gone out of business by filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy case.
Oh, did they file this?
They filed an 11. Now, someone else has stepped into American Car Center's shoes, which is not uncommon. They do it all the time. It's called Westlake Financial. And I get calls from people who were in the process of purchasing cars from American Car Center saying, I don't know where to pay my money. I got this new call from Westlake, and I got letters from Westlake. So that's who it is. It's Westlake Financial. Now, as Daryl and I were talking earlier, what needs to happen in this situation, and she says it there, she said, I was in the process of purchasing a car. Next question becomes, where is the car?
Yeah, because that's the thing.
Right. Do you still have the vehicle?
So, yeah, you can't get a windfall.
That's right.
So the thing is, it's quid pro quo, and that's a lawyer term, this for that.
That's right.
So in this particular case, this is the car, and the that is the payment.
That's right.
So if you still have the car, then you still got to be making your payments to somewhere, or you're going to now acquire this car at no cost. Now, if they took the car from you also, which I don't understand, because how would American Car Center be able to take the car? Because they don't. But here's the biggest thing.
Okay.
Let me back up for a minute.
All right.
First off, we talked about if you
I can tell you how they got the cars. They just sent the tow truck and got it.
Yeah.
So they did pick up a lot of cars.
Yeah.
They did.
But they would have picked up the car because it wasn't being paid.
That's right. Not necessarily.
Because those deals that American Car Center had was lease for purchase.
That's right.
Lease to purchase.
That's right.
And so if you had a lease to purchase agreement, This is just for me.
Right.
This is basic contract.
I got you.
And if I have, it's just like if you have a house. You sell your house, but before you sell your house, you enter into a lease agreement with me to allow me to be a tenant for the next 5 years. Okay.
That sounds like last week's show.
It sounds like last week's show. If I sell the house,
Right.
and you, it's normally not as houses, it's normally apartments and things of that nature. But the new owner, if you have a lease, even when the new owner comes in, that new owner has to honor any existing leases normally.
Okay.
So that would be the same thing here. If there was an existing lease before these people could tow their vehicle, your vehicle, that existing lease, if it's existing and current, then they could not take your car because that would be problematic.
Well, it would be, but under these circumstances are totally different. Because remember, whenever an individual or an entity goes bankrupt, we already presume that they were bankrupt long before they actually filed the case. Excuse me. So what that means is that the person had the vehicle, could not pay the note because they had no idea where to pay the note because American Car Center was not functioning. So the recipient of the paper just determined that they were not paying. And that's why they picked the vehicle up. It's almost like notice. It's notice actually, hey, do something, your car is gone. Get in touch with us, tell us what the facts are. The facts are that I was making my payment. I had this car for 2 years, and I've made every single payment, and I'm prepared now to bring it current. You follow me? And so I think that the fact that it was repossessed is actually notice of the new owner of the paper. And so that's where the relief will come from, the new owner. Now, as you said, there is no windfall. Just and sometimes people have seen, oh, they've gone out of business. I don't have to pay anymore.
Yeah.
I got a car, I don't have to pay for it. And so it could be that the payments, in other words, you said it right. Somehow or another, the exchange failed. The money was not going. And so the owner of the paper owner had one choice, is to pick the vehicle up.
Yeah, and look, there's a couple ways here. If you're legit, you crossed your T's and dotted your I's, then what you can do, obviously you can always file your independent lawsuit as a result, because they took, I think, you cannot, they take that back off us.
Right.
Because they're in bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So what you could do is file a claim in bankruptcy.
Well, I wouldn't do that, Darryl.
But you could.
I wouldn't do that because whenever you start getting the legal system involved, you really bog down the system.
I'd lost my car, Jerome.
You lost the car because you were not paying.
No. Okay, so I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That is the one set of facts that we don't know in this scenario.
Right. Well, we do know it.
No, we don't.
Otherwise, they couldn't have picked the car up.
That's what I was saying.
That's a violation if you pick somebody's car.
Well, that's what I was saying.
That's right.
If you take my car,
That's right.
and I'm making monthly payments,
you got
that's
a
a
problem.
violation.
You got a problem on your hands.
You got a problem on your hands.
That's right.
So, I would hope that this person is making payments, because if they're making payments and this has happened, yeah, you can do something.
And that's what I was saying there. Whomever they hired, Tri-State, Recovery, all of these other companies, they should have left some kind of notice. And I always tell people too, call the police, because tow companies are supposed
To notify
the police that I'm in the process of going to 1010.
Well, not in the process. Actually, because I represent a couple of tow companies.
Okay, all right.
The actual is, before you actually pull the vehicle, you
Okay.
have to let them know that it's been repossessed.
Okay.
Because what ends up happening is people will call and say the vehicle was stolen.
That's right.
And the police will check the VIN number
That's
and say,
right.
hey, no, we have this VIN number. And they will tell you that your vehicle got repossessed.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what I was saying. I was saying that somehow we know that it was picked up by the tow company, and what tow company it was picked up by, and it should be on their lot for a while.
Right.
And so,
and when if you call the police department, they will tell you.
that's exactly right.
That's the reason why they have to tell you the name of the company.
That's exactly.
And tell you the information, and that we towed this vehicle. And then it will be, like you said, it'll be there.
That's exactly
You
right.
know, it'll, yeah.
And then you say, once you call them, because again, it's Westlake Financial. Hi, my name is John Jones, and I had a so-and-so car. It was repossessed on this day from this location. I have made all of my car payments up until I could no longer reach American Car Center. And so I want my vehicle back. And then they would probably look at the paper and say, okay, yeah, it's like you missed 3 or 4 payments. This is how we can resolve this. Because I always tell people, I don't know, you might do something different. Do whatever you can on your own before you come and start filing a lawsuit.
my goodness.
Because that's when the clock start running.
Man, let me just tell you, and you like me, hey, I love my job.
That's right.
But I'm telling you, man, you come into the office, you're going to get broke off.
That's right.
I mean, that's just how it is.
That's just where it is.
I mean, so, and I always tell people, look, do what you can.
That's right.
I mean, well, can you write a letter? Man, I'm charged about it. I'll write a letter, but you know, I'm charged.
Right.
Oh, well, no, no. I mean, cause so if you want to get a lawyer involved, lawyers just don't make phone calls.
That's exactly
Lawyers
right.
just don't write letters.
That's right.
Now, there's a company, I actually represent this company. If you're a member, and I'm actually giving them free press now.
Okay.
If you're a member of Prepaid Legal,
Okay.
one of the perks that Prepaid Legal gives all its memberships is they would write a letter.
Okay. And also there's some people have something called ARAG. Are you familiar with them?
I'm not.
Well, that's another group that they have on their jobs. I've represented several people from ARAG where they will refer clients to the group of us who are in that group.
Yeah. Legal Shield does the same thing.
Right, and we determine, whether it's something we're interested in or not.
Right.
So what happens then is that, and I always document, audience, just document what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've called, and I've
Yeah.
called this because that's one of the things that
It's your proof.
that's the first thing that they're going to do if you do have to file a lawsuit. Well, nobody ever told us.
Yeah, get my notice. I mean,
That-
that's the thing.
that's exactly
look,
right.
technology is too vast
Oh my goodness.
for you not to have proof that you've done what you're supposed to do.
That's exactly right.
If you say you don't have proof, then you deserve what you get. Yeah. I know that's disgusting for me, and Jerome always gets me when I make those harsh statements. But again, technology is
That's
too
true.
much
That's true.
for you not to prove your point. I called them. Here's my call log.
That's right.
I text them. I emailed them.
And
I sent them a letter.
And I spoke to John Ramos and I asked for his ID number
Yeah.
because they have ID numbers and they have names.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, and if somebody said, we don't care what you do, you ain't getting this car back.
Yeah.
Then it's time to call Daryl O'Neal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you've done all that you can do, and then you probably got a good claim for attorney fees there too.
Depending.
Because
Yeah.
you
There might
tried.
be a Tennessee human rights violation.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
I'm sorry.
consumer
I'm
protection.
sorry. I said human rights.
Yeah,
I get that's my favorite. That's my statute. But the Tennessee Consumer Protection.
That's right.
Statute is what it is.
In fact, it's treble damages in there.
It could be treble damages
Yeah.
or it could be attorney fees.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's where you are. So the next question.
Well,
Go.
don't move yet, because she said I lost my money.
That's all what the law is about.
But we don't know whether you lost your money or not, or did you default?
Right. Yeah, we
you're
don't
not.
know any of these different
Right.
things. Because this is all governed by contract.
Right.
And your contract tells you what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
If you're doing what you're supposed to do in the contract, then they can't take your car.
And you haven't
you don't-
you haven't lost your money.
And you haven't
Right.
lost your money.
That's right.
If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, like here's what somebody will say. Well, I heard American Car Center went out of business and I didn't know where to send my payment to, so I stopped paying.
Oh, I heard it over and over again.
You stop paying, dog, they gonna come get your car.
Or I sent the payment and it came back and I spent the money now. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Put it
You
in the
are-
bank and set it aside.
And set it aside.
Set it
because
aside.
you always need to demonstrate that I was ready,
Ready,
willing, and able,
and able.
to make every payment.
Yeah. So, yeah. The next one is something that we really need to look into in life. Everybody, not everybody, but a vast majority of society has made mistakes in their life.
Yes.
And when you make a mistake, sometimes, depending on the scenario, is you could get arrested, you could have a criminal charge, you can have different things.
That's good there. I like that you
And
did
when you
that.
have
Yeah.
those things, Tennessee law has done some things to help people. Tennessee has what they call the expunction or expungement statute. And the statute, I always like to do this, is 40-32-101. That's the expungement statute. And here's what it is. You can get something expunged off of your record if you got a misdemeanor or certain felonies. Now, they will only expunge 2. So if you got 3, you got a problem. So they will only expunge 2. And so here,
But even then, there may not be that may not be the end of the road, because if it somehow or another can be dismissed, you follow me?
yeah.
There may be an opportunity to get rid of that one as well.
Well-
because you didn't actually
Okay.
get sentenced on that one.
Yeah,
maybe.
so there's 2 different ones.
Right.
So you got that, you're right.
Right.
You got the expunction statute.
Right, okay.
And then you have the expungement.
Gotcha.
So what ends up happening, they're the same, but what happens is if a case against you gets dismissed, no process.
That's right.
Or you get acquitted, then you are entitled to an expungement.
That's as a matter of right.
As a matter of right.
That's right.
You don't need any statutes.
That's
You
right.
don't need anything. It's been dismissed, no process, acquitted, any of those types of things.
That's
you can
right.
get your entire record expunged.
That's right.
And that expungement, and I'm going to do this twice.
Okay.
Or that expungement, they tell you to give them 90 days, and after 90 days, it's off. Nobody can see it.
Right.
Now, it does allow law enforcement to see some of those things, and maybe the DAs can see them, but nobody in the public can see it. And in fact, Tennessee has a statute that says, if in fact somebody has possession of expunged material, it's a misdemeanor.
Oh wow.
Because what was
Didn't know
happening is you get something expunged and the news media or somebody else knows about it. They want to just flaunt that nonsense out there. And you flaunt a story out there that doesn't exist any longer. Because if it's been dismissed or expunged, it's as if it never happened.
Well, in fact, you can say. One of the judges used to tell him that you can say that you've never been.
Yeah, if you ask me
arrested,
have I
right?
been arrested, I can say no.
That's right.
But people, and that's what the problem with the newspaper. They'll have old articles
Right.
of old things that have been resolved.
Right.
And so you can't really go back in time on that. The law doesn't allow you to remove the newspaper article, but the newspaper, after you got it expunged, if they in fact talked about that, they have not done their due diligence.
That's exactly right. I was about to say that.
Because the newspaper it can't be willy-nilly. They have a job to do. If they discuss something about me that's after it's been expunged, and they want to put this in this big article about me, and it's been expunged as if it never happened, they have slandered me now.
You're absolutely right. I was about to say that's why you hear them say sometimes that this has not been verified at this point, because they have a duty
Right.
to whatever they're reporting to make sure
Yeah.
that it is as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
And so you're right.
So you disclose something that supposed. So that expungement statute, I'm sorry, that's not an expungement statute. That's expungement as a right.
Gotcha.
The expungement statute is for when you have a conviction, you have a crime, something has happened, and you want to clean your record.
That's right.
Now, the way the expungement statute works is you can have either 2 misdemeanors or 1 misdemeanor and 1 felony, and they can expunge those.
Okay.
If you got the third one, they can't do nothing with
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And my understanding, which is kind of disgusting, because I had to help a guy get pardoned
Oh, yeah.
because
Wow.
he needed to expunge certain things off his record, and he couldn't expunge those certain things
Wow.
because if you got 1 misdemeanor and 1 felony, or 2 misdemeanors, you can have your record expunged.
Wow.
But you can't. If you got 3, you can't.
That means that the governor Had to give him a pardon.
The governor did give him a pardon.
Oh, wow.
The governor did give him a pardon.
That's good word there.
Yeah, well, you know, he did it all himself. I just was his mouthpiece. So,
Excellent.
so the question becomes, what misdemeanors are ineligible for expungement? Because you got certain misdemeanors you cannot get expunged. So if you're convicted of an assault, domestic assault, violation of a restraining order, possession of a firearm while there is a protective order, public indecency in a third degree, indecent exposure to a minor, violation of community supervision by a sex offender, soliciting a minor to engage in a Class E felony, unlawful sexual contact by authority figure, fraudulent use of credit card up to $500, reckless burning. They have a list.
It's so many of them, man. It's almost as if they don't want to expunge anybody.
Well, those are certain things, and most of the time,
ridiculous.
Some of these charges are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So if you got convicted of these charges, it's ridiculous.
Right.
But the ones that not, for instance, assault, aggravated assault, or domestic assault, DV. They're not doing anything expunging in DVs.
Oh yeah, but
they don't want those types of things to be expunged.
That's right.
Unless it gets dismissed, like we just said
But
earlier.
then the state is probably going to pick it up too.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
More than likely.
Yeah. Well, it gets dismissed because the state did dismiss.
Witness didn't show up.
No, a lot of times the state they'll dismiss it because they just dismiss it.
Okay.
So those number of things there, the expungements you can't get, and some of those are felonies, and but there's a lot of them that are eligible. I mean, possession of drugs. I mean, you can have possession of drugs, misdemeanor or felony, and you can get that expunged off your record. And again, those types of expungements takes about 90 days. Now, what can happen there, Jerome, with those is you have to pay the money to the prosecutor.
To do the research.
To do the research to see whether or not you're eligible.
Right.
Here's the sad part. If you pay it and you're not eligible, you don't get your money back.
Oh, that's right. I mean, it's worth the chance.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
What you should do
It's worth it.
is do what I just said. Go online.
Yeah.
You can read what it says that you can and you cannot expunge. And if you one of those things, then obviously you're not going to qualify.
Well, usually you need the assistance of a lawyer anyway to make sure that, so you just don't throw your money away.
Well, you should, but you throwing your money away on that too,
Right?
Because you got to pay the lawyer to give you the information.
That's true too.
So I mean, this costs $400.
That's true.
You go online, and if you wanted to look for yourself, it's Tennessee Expungement Statute. It's free. Go online, and it tells you eligible, ineligible, eligible felonies, and different things of that nature. So it tells you what's eligible and what's not eligible.
Do you know that they have just moved an expungement clinic here in Memphis? Were you aware of that? Yeah, they did, because the need is so great. Because one of the things that goes along with not being,
I got you,
with having a felony or some other charge is that you lose your right to vote.
Well, it's funny you say that, Jerome. I was getting ready to go into that.
Okay.
You kind of beat me to it.
Okay.
The second part of this is, that's the reason why people get in these expungements, because they want to get some of their rights restored.
That's right.
But there's a provision that Tennessee has what they call a restoration of rights per statute.
Okay.
So you can actually petition the court to restore your rights. You can have your rights to vote restored. You can have your rights to carry a weapon restored.
Okay.
And I've done that for a number of people too. And how that normally works is, you send notice to the DA's office, the federal, the Attorney General's office. You send all notice to these individuals that you want to get your record expunged. You want your rights restored. And then what they do is they look at your crime and determine whether or not they're going to contest it. If they don't contest it, you get your rights restored.
And that's a civil
That's
matter.
civil.
You do that over across the street.
You do that in civil court.
Okay.
But the results travel to criminal court.
I got you.
Because once that happens, the order goes to the criminal court.
Got you.
And they're supposed to, because, I had a client that, somebody dropped the ball and he had his rights restored. and they arrested him because he had a gun. And they say he was a felon in possession of a gun. No, he's not a felon. His rights, he's still a felon, but his rights
have been restored.
Right.
Well, you know, that was a big case that came up, about 3 or 4 years ago, and that probably was what caused Judge Ward to lose his seat, was because, you know, he sentenced that lady to those 9 years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the biggest mess.
That was the
ever.
voting thing.
Yeah, that's right, because she voted, and they arrested her, and they charged her, and all this other stuff, and it got national attention.
Right.
Ultimately,
Yeah, because
it turns out that she had done everything right,
Right.
but the system failed her.
Right.
You know?
But here's the sad thing, because that's why you wear the black robe.
Yeah.
You can fashion remedies, and if somebody don't like the remedy that you fashion, they can take it to the 3 wise men, and let the 3 wise men determine whether or not the remedy that you fashioned as a judge
was correct.
Was correct.
I got you.
Because why would I sentence somebody to 9 years for voting?
Well, it was kind of like aggravated because it was not the first time.
I got rights.
Yeah.
I thought my rights were restored.
Right. That's what you're right.
I mean, and then
It was
again,
ugly. It was ugly.
Yeah, but okay, so I'm voting. The voter office, they can track that information out too. So if they allow me to register to vote,
Well, remember
I didn't lie.
Remember that's what this big deal was 2 or 3 years ago, where they were saying all of these problems with the voting system, and so we're going to crack down and make sure that you won't vote if you're not eligible. So he gets kind of caught up in a big mess.
That's them politics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I practice law.
Right.
I don't do politics. I mean, and that's the reason, man. I can't do that nonsense.
I got you.
I mean, at some point, you got to make a common sense decision. And, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. They get stuck in buffoonery.
I do.
Well, politically,
I'm all over the place because.
but politically, they both get stuck in some buffoonery, man.
Well, did you see where a couple of Trump's lawyers have plea agreements now?
Powell,
and another one just pled guilty.
Yeah.
The other day they got agreements because that was nonsense.
And you got a duty as a lawyer not to do that.
That's right.
I mean, look.
All over the country with this nonsense, signing
under Rule 11
complaints. Yeah.
Under Rule 11, that I've done my due diligence, and yeah, I mean, you can't. I'm choking because I'm like,
it was nonsense, wasn't it?
And I've had clients, man, to come and say, they want you to do something, and I mean, if it don't work for me, it don't work for me.
I got you.
Because the court's gonna hold me to the fire.
And they should.
And you say
they should.
There's a rule that says that.
Yeah.
I as represented a lawyer that sued this person in their individual capacity, but the person who did the conduct was a corporation. But the plaintiff employee didn't like one of the people, so they sued that person in their individual capacity. The lawyer for the defendant.
We're gonna make you fall in love with SVP TV.